Hello, everyone. I'm Syed, and welcome to our series, Low-Code Perspectives, where we have tech enthusiasts, developers, and non-developers alike sharing their perspective on how low-code has simplified their lives. So here we have a very special guest, Pratik Modi, who is the CEO of FI Digital, a Zoho Premium partner and a consultant who has been helping businesses out there in implementing different solutions to streamline and automate the business processes. So before we dive into the world of low code, Pratik, can you quickly introduce yourself to our audience and help us understand what's your role alike in FI Digital?
Sure. Thank you, Saeed. Pleasure talking to you and every listeners on this topic. So I'm Pratik, CEO FI Digital. So FI Digital is our global brand, and Pristine Infotech is what our name is in India. We work with Zoho, and we have been building a lot of different creator applications throughout our journey, and that's what we are here to share. And in today's session, my role personally is to look after the growth of our organization, but also to work with our clients. That's what I'm very passionate about, just to understand their processes, map out the processes, as well as include the tech angle. And Creator becomes that tool where we can bring in the tech to solve business problems, right? So that's what we are going to discuss today, and that's my role.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Pratik, for joining us here. Again, it's a pleasure to have you. You mentioned about Creator. We'll dive a bit later into it. But before that, Pratik, low code is a term which has been like a trending term in the past, years. How do you think low code is changing the application development spectrum from your end? What's your perspective on that?
So my perspective on this is the speed of things to execute things is no longer a hindrance, and it becomes very easy for the business team to explain and build prototypes using tools like low code tools, right? So these are the clear advantages that we have seen in our journey, especially like we have been around for 8 9 years with Zoho and Zoho Creator. So we have seen these advantages roll out, where business teams are much more comfortable sharing their problems and asking for solutions, because they know that they have a solution in low code. So that these are the clear advantages that we have seen.
Perfect. When you mentioned the advantages, like speed and execution, where do you think creator is fitting into it, Pratik? Because there are different vendors out there at the same time, right? How do you think creator is adding value to, let's say, not just a developer out there, but also a person who doesn't know to code? Because low code is more like simplifying the coding process and helps non-developers to also build an application. What's your perspective on that? Like how it is helping the different diverse user personas in building application.
That's correct. So low code necessarily does not mean just keeping it very simple. How I would like to put it is from an entrepreneur to an enterprise, right? That's the broad spectrum that we are talking about. So even a small person company who just wants to build a prototype, or have a quick look, or then build on it, right? Then Creator helps throughout that journey. So you can have something very quick within a day or two and showcase those MVP, start using it and build on it. But at the same time, enterprise can also have center of excellence within their team, and they can have those guardrails where the team themselves can manage a lot of their digitization processes using a tool like Creator. So it's a very broad spectrum that we are talking about, and that's the specialty of a tool like Zoho Creator. And that has been our experience so far, working with all different sizes of business in last 8 9 years.
Well, perfectly put. Thank you so much, Pratik. Pratik, what kind of use cases or let's say applications can be built using low code? Can you shed some light there?
Yeah, sure. So we have built right from different kinds of portals where we can help finance teams with their vendor management. We have built customer facing portals, distributor portals. So I would put it as portal is one where you need, or a company or an enterprise needs to interact with different stakeholders that are outside of the organization and need to interact in a streamlined manner. That's one. There are a lot of process heavy things, right, which require approval processes, which require order management. These are the second kind of applications that we have seen in past. And the third key area has been around managing inventories in multiple places. We have seen a fourth layer of inspection and auditing applications, right? Compliance applications. So these are the key four pillars where we see, and this applies to different business verticals and industries. So they have different priorities. But a key trend throughout our application building process or helping our client has been, there are these underserved departments and problems that do not have mainstream products available in the market, and they are still using paper-based processes and Excel sheets. So how do we bring them on the digitization journey? And that has been the goal. So, and anyone who works in the space can relate that there are so many low-hanging fruits which we all can go and build solutions using low-code platforms. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, you've put it out perfectly. Thank you so much for that, Pratik. Pratik, there, like, you haven't, but you've worked with a lot of developers from your end, right? How do you think, like, it is like low code is being perceived by the developers, because they usually used to the traditional way of building applications? How has low code in terms of, like, help them tackle different challenges when it comes to traditional environment? There are some misconceptions also when it comes to low code. How do you see the developers taking it up from there, and how it has simplified their lives out there?
Right. So developers do have a way of working. And when we talk about developers, in our team, in our clients' team, I've seen this, way of working. But at the same time, if you show them the benefit, then they are very adaptive as well, right? They are working in tech space, and tech is always evolving. So um, again, coming back to the point that creator, while it's low code, it's a very broad spectrum base. So uh, I'll give you a quick scenario where a citizen developer or someone who is within the team uh, uses Creator to just open up the process and open up everyone's imagination that how quick we can do things. We can bring in compliance, we can bring in accountability by building this application. Now we take that, or the citizen developer, for example, takes that to their dev team or comes to consultants like us. Then we can build on the same using Creator and some of the very advanced features within Creator. And it has Creator has always been giving those tools to developers. So I would say it is a pro developer platform, right? It is also giving out tools right now which is very much used in practical AI use cases. So I don't see this being a challenge, or the adoption being a challenge, especially on the developer side. If anything, they would like to see something on screen, and that is something they can relate much better than just the business requirement documents and stuff which is in the traditional development cycle, right? If you give them something which is working and ask them, okay, how can we do it better, then I'm sure all the developers out there can relate with this. They'll feel it much better, and how do they get started with the development process on something that is in already an idea format and not just on paper. So that way it really speeds up the process of digitization.
Perfect. Pratik, like you mentioned, you've worked with developers and you've monitored their work, and you know how they put out their way of working, right? Now there is, can you shed some light on the advantages and the disadvantages when it comes to the hybrid approach? Let's say they use low code as well as like the traditional way of development is also tweaked in. they use low code to just build forms, reports, but then they go for like, do the custom coding, all these things. How does this hybrid approach model work? Like, does it add value at the end product which you built in? Like, is there like is it beneficial for the end user at the end if it's a customer or someone? How would you take that one?
Sure. So, see, your end user, whether it's on business side user or outside of the organization, at end of the day, they want the problem to be solved, right? If the hybrid problem is, sorry, the hybrid approach is helping them solve it, then that's the way to go. And as I mentioned in the previous point itself, it actually helps if there is a hybrid approach, because while the forms and basic workflows can be done quickly, even by someone within business teams, there is a layer which needs to be applied, or development work that needs to be done by the core development team. Again, it could be internal team or a team like ours, where we can do a lot of customizations on top of it. So a great example that I can think of, a customer, Zoho Creator customer, came to us where they had done a lot of work already. They are into financial services and managing trusts where a lot of investment comes in, and they invest on behalf of their customers into real estate. So it's a very compliance heavy industry where there are 250 pages of documents, and based on the different documents and different terms within those documents and agreements, there needs to be different workflow. So a customer came to us and they wanted to, while they had done the basic forms and applications within Creator, they wanted our help within the AI application space. So we then brought in what AI offering Creator has got, and applied it in way where we have now prompt libraries created, and it becomes very easy for their business users to actually decide by just giving a prompt, selecting a prompt, and whatever the document or agreement has got within it, the system knows, and then it generates the next level of workflow, right? It also creates further documents from the same single agreement, right? Sends it to the relevant people and sends it for signature. So this is a classic case because it's very recent. So I could give that example where customer had built forms, layouts, the processes, reports as well. But then how do we bring in a layer of AI where they definitely need developers' help? And our developers are now continuously evolving in the role where it's not just development, but then understanding the business processes, auditing the current system, in this case Zoho Creator, and what is the best way to achieve business outcome. So I'm sure over years, if you compare what was a role of a developer, let's say in 2015, and what is the role of a developer now, I'm sure all the developers out there will say that the element of understanding business processes has increased, in a substantive way. So that's the answer.
Perfectly put, Pratik. Thank you so much for sharing that. Pratik, one of your personal favorite, this was like earlier you mentioned one of the customers who's come in and used low code, like they're already built an application, but then a low code term was inserted and it simplified and how it benefited them, really impressed it. One of your personal favorite customer implementation, which gave a lot of benefits to the customer when and also it seemed a bit challenging when you started it, but at the end when you were very satisfied with that implementation, one of such story would can you share one of that?
Yeah, sure. So we have a couple of those stories, but let me start with one of those use cases. So we have two global car automobile companies as our clients, and their New Zealand division. So we cannot name those companies, but they are global brands, and they had come to us after a lot of failed attempts at creating a mini order management system. So, this system basically links the car manufacturers, so we call them as OEMs, and the dealerships. So every car company has got dealerships, and these two companies were handled by a same software vendor again in New Zealand. So that's how two car companies came to us together with this problem. And the workflow was, when I go, let's say I own a car and I go to one of these dealerships, and if at all I need any of the parts changed, then that workflow is, what they wanted to manage. And they were, by the time they came to us and started exploring Zoho Creator, they tried building this in house. And like I said, it was probably 18 months of work that couldn't yield them any results, and then they switched over here. Now the workflow is, whenever someone, like I said, brings the car, wants to get the parts changed, then the technician needs to have that bit of a co-pilot approach, right? Okay, if a part needs to be replaced, what are the next steps, like taking photographs, uploading it, taking the serial number on the parts and ordering it. If it's in inventory, then what is the timeline? If it's not in inventory, then how many days will it take? Is the car right to go out of the dealership and come back when the part has arrived, or it is very critical for the customer to actually keep the car and get it repaired first, right? So the whole safety angle. So this entire workflow of ordering parts and everything around it, including the customer service element, or the dealership service element, right, where the dealers themselves get notifications from time to time on when the part is going to arrive, and that gets pushed into the customer communication also, because they are waiting for the cars. So this entire workflow for two automobile giants in New Zealand, and all their dealerships within New Zealand was completed by us using Zoho Creator as a platform, and the outcome was very satisfactory. And it's already been 2 years where the system is stable, and continuous improvement and enhancements are being done. So that's a very good use case that I often share with our clients, and give them ideas on how to use Creator to digitize things quickly and efficiently.
There is this benefit of digitization, but in terms of other value adds to the customer, in terms of like saving the cost, how has that term like benefited the customers, Pratik?
So I would see a clear value proposition within something like Creator, because then we are not just talking about planning it on paper and spending months before we go into the development cycle. There are some applications which definitely require it, but from a company's perspective, it is important to understand which applications require ground up building, which applications can be done or achieved through a platform like Creator, which is low code, right? So once the identification is done, then the value proposition comes in, because where you have to keep your efforts, you are giving those efforts while building it ground up. But when you actually need speed and that entire element of doing things quick, that obviously saves time. And when your resources and their time is saved, it translates into cost efficiencies as well. So your go to market is faster with fewer resources, and it's not just that benefit, but it acts as a catalyst to then look out for more problems, right? So if you solve a problem in 6 months, now you're trying to solve the problem within 2 months, but after 2 months, I'm sure the business users will have lot many problems identified that can be solved. So 6 months one problem versus 6 months three problem, that becomes the speed of doing things. And when you are doing things at that speed, like I said, cost efficiencies will obviously come in, because the resource deployed are one third, for example. So definitely a value proposition there.
Perfect, perfect. Pratik, you mentioned Zoho Creator, which is being used for your like clients out there in their implementations. One or like few of the capabilities or the features which you feel are very beneficial to the end users. Like, can you share your favorite features, your favorite capabilities of the creator platform, and how it is adding value to end users?
So I started my answer with this. Something that we really like from capability standpoint is the portal experience, because with portal you and this is, has been the biggest pain point for a lot of companies of how they are, how they can give experience, whether it's vendor experience, customer experience, their distributor experience. How do they enhance the experience? And creator portals really solve that problem. So this has been the one of the best capabilities. And if I talk about features that are now being rolled out under creator, these are the AI features now, right? So your image recognition, things like image recognitions, these are very practical use cases, and we have started deploying them. Speech to text, right? That is also very practical use cases, and business users want to start using it. So again, people who are going to listen will relate to this. There are so many processes that are still on paper. I would say on the majority side they are still on paper. Now creator is bringing in these kind of features which can be plugged and used for practical purposes. So these two will be definitely my call out. I also have seen a great improvement over years in terms of how a better user interface can be built. So a lot of improvement from creator team there, where now you can have good user interface and it's continuously improving. So that's also a call out from our side.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pratik. Pratik, how has your role been as a Zoho partner? Today you've grown to be a premium Zoho partner across different regions, and you've been implementing different solutions. And also you are a citizen developer, as in you haven't learned coding from the scratch, but you still use it for your daily purposes as well. How do you think the low code is benefiting your life, and how has your journey been as a Zoho partner so far?
So, as a Zoho partner, the role and responsibility changes from the time we started and where we are. Currently, it is more about how do we reach out to customers and see more customers basically. And we primarily operate in three markets. So, Australia, New Zealand, India, and Middle East are our key markets. So my role is to share these benefits, these outcomes, identify the problems that businesses have got, and then connect them with the right solution. So that's been my key role these days. Obviously, then there are responsibilities on the management side. So how do we cater to the growing requirements? Like if creator as a low code platform is growing, then how do we build a team which has got process engineers who understand the processes, business analysts, again, who can document and share that story with both developers as well as business users. So, really looking from or building an organization which can serve the needs of our clients is what my role is. How does creator help? It helps in multiple ways for our internal use as well. So I remember when we were a much smaller team. So now we are a much bigger team across three different regions. So about 90 plus people are sorry, are working with us. But when we were a smaller team, even things like going around and checking for office space and uh, for rent purposes and stuff, I and my immediate team members would build creator applications. So we would have a bank of all the properties that were inspected for office purposes, and it helped us immensely, because we didn't have to type everything on Excel sheet and then upload an image via link, etc. So everyone who goes out to inspect a property, we knew, because we had that creator application, we knew that each person will find out and fill the criterias that they are supposed to. So, three people going out to one property, that used to be not very good use of time. We used to send one person for one property, but with that creator application, and then end of the week we used to compare, okay, what are the ratings, because we used to get report on each of the criterias, who is the properties that has been inspected. So that's just one of the use cases where we use creator for our own purpose and a very quick application as a citizen developer. But many big use cases now we cater for our clients and their requirements, and for that we have got a big team, like I said. So again, coming back to the whole big spectrum thing, broad spectrum rather, where it helps entrepreneur to an enterprise. That's what Zoho Creator is for in our view.
Perfectly good. Thank you so much, Pratik. And I think that's been the vision for Zoho Creator as well, like to empower every user to build applications faster. You have, thank you so much again for sharing your perspective, your thoughts, and your experience with the local platform like Creator. It's a pleasure to again have you here. And thank you to our viewers also for joining us for this session as part of our Creators Developers Month. And Developers Day is falling in the mid of September. So we will be live with another LinkedIn series with another developer to understand their perspective. We are looking forward to hear from them as well and see how low code is simplifying all our lives.